Welcome back to Tiny Grimes Games, and I'm here with another Star Wars Destiny video. And today I want to bring you my overall Gen Con wrap-up. Here we are, almost a week later. I decided to give you my thoughts on how Gen Con went as a whole. Generally, I love Gen Con. I had a great time. I got to meet a ton of Star Wars Destiny players who were all very kind and generous and just had great interactions. And I got to play a ton of Star Wars Destiny. And really, for me personally, special thanks go to Arthur Kelly for running those cash events. I know going into the tournament, or going into the weekend, some people were a little bit nervous. Some people put out videos even about how cash events don't belong in the scene and blah, blah, blah. And I think this weekend proved that they worked fine. Like, there were no problems. The cash events went off without a hitch. And what made them so great is FFG just has a limited amount of time and a limited amount of space, and they're not able to do all the amazing things you would love to see them do. You would love to see them have, like, a main event, a draft, a 2-on-2 event, another side event, like Destiny every day, but that's just not in the cards. And so by having these cash events put on by Arthur Kelly and his X-Wars team, you're able to have Destiny events every day, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so for someone like me, who's just like a degenerate Destiny player, I was able to be like, Destiny every day? Sign me up. Where do I sign up to play Destiny 24/7 at Gen Con? I heard there's like a convention happening. I don't believe you. I don't want to see it. I just want to play Destiny. And I did. It was amazing. It was the greatest weekend ever. I just got to play Destiny for 4 straight days. So I want to say great job to that team, Arthur Kelly and his crew. I really hope this player circuit expands. I think it's good for the game. Like I said, there were no problems of people being extra jerky or something because there was money on the line. What it did do, though, serious decks. Like, it was real good training for anyone who played in the tournaments on Thursday and Friday. Not only did you get awesome games in with good players, with good decks, you got to see what the meta was going to be like. Normally what happens is in these FFG side events, people go, I'm not going to bring my real deck. I'm just not going to bring it because I don't want anyone to see it. I'm going to play the secondary deck. But when there's a grand on the line, people are like, screw that. Here's my best deck with all my tricks. It is on. And so it was amazing. Anyone who played in that knew Rainbow Nines and Poe Maz were the two decks to beat going into Saturday. And that's just so great to have that kind of knowledge. And so just overall, I had a great time playing Destiny. All right, so I'm gonna tell you guys a couple funny, crazy Destiny moments for the weekend. So in the $1,000 cash qualifier, the first round starts, and this guy, the guy's like, all right, the pairings are up, find your seats. I, mosey on over to my spot. All right, this is where I am. Everyone's all set up, and this guy comes running over. I'm sorry, man, I was at a Magic tournament. And I was like, that's cool. So he sits down, and he pulls out a box of cards, and he says, you know what, I haven't put my deck together yet. Do you mind? And I was like, the tournament's starting. And the guy's like, all right, go ahead and start your rounds. And the guy's like, don't worry, I'll just take a second. And I was like, okay. Like, assuming he just needed to switch some cards. And he pulls out his phone and brings up his deck list. Then he opens this box of Destiny cards. There's just a box of unsleeved Destiny cards in no real order. And I was like, what is happening? And he just starts sorting through his 800 Destiny cards, putting a deck together. So, at that point, I go over to the judge, and I just say, hey, I just wanted you to be aware of what's happening. There's this guy, and he's not quite prepared. And the judge was cool. He's like, I know. He was not really a Destiny player. He just has cards and wanted to play, and we wanted to include him. And I was like, that's cool. Like, I'm all good with that. And I'm playing Poe Maz, so the game should be over in 8 minutes regardless, which I wanted you to know. And so they said, yeah, you're going to have all your time. So, okay, cool. So a little while later, he's got his list put together. Unsleeved, though. He doesn't have time to sleeve it, right? So he's playing with his unsleeved deck, which is fine. And then he's like, oh no, I don't know where my Vader dice is. He's playing a Vader guard. I'm actually a little worried because he's playing Vader guard, and that had just won the Artificery tournament several days before, so I was a little worried he net decked this really good deck. And so he's like, I gotta get my Vader dice. I'm like, okay. He reaches into his bag and he pulls out some dice. He pulls out more dice. Suddenly he has a mountain of dice like 3 feet high before he finds his Vader die. So our whole table is just covered with his dice. It was very strange. So finally we start. Like I said, I'm a little bit worried. And then his first play is to play the, what is it, the Inquisition droid. I don't remember what the name of it is. The droid that is for mill decks. And I was like, oh, interesting. Okay. Probably this isn't going to be too tough. He looks like he's playing some interesting Vader Guard mill deck, which is not a bad deck, but is not going to be quite fast enough to deal with Paul Maz. So we're playing, and he's like all twisted up, right? So like he starts his turn, and he draws a card. And I was like, no, that's not how this works. He's like, right, I was playing Magic. But the best part is, at the start of the second turn, he draws up his cards, and he draws up Vader. He's like, huh, I just drew Vader. I'm thinking I can't have Vader on the table and draw him, right? And I was like, no, you just can't have Vader in your deck at all. And he's like, all right. It's not like Magic where you have the creatures in your deck. I forgot. So this dude main decked Darth Vader and drew him, and it was a crazy start to the 1K qualifier where I was just kind of like, I don't know what's happening right now. And then after the game, he says, like, hey, can you help me, put together a better list? And I was like, yeah, sure, thinking he means for later. But that's not what he meant. He actually went ahead and, like, changed his whole deck for round 2, which kind of makes sense since he didn't really get to put together a deck for round 1. He just threw it together. And I'm so torn here. I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Am I supposed to DQ this guy? Report him? He clearly does not really know how to play Destiny, and I just kind of want to be inclusive and let this guy play, right, not give him a hard time. So I decided to just take the road of, he's not going to win the 1K qualifier anyway. He doesn't really know how to play. Let's just let this guy play and have fun. I don't know if it was the right decision, but he did lose to Mike Gem or somebody good. Actually, I don't think Gem was playing. He lost to somebody good in the second round and then dropped anyway. So it was kind of like, all right, it's a moot point at this point, but man, that was crazy. So I played against a guy that main decked a Vader. That was my craziest Destiny moment of the weekend. If you haven't heard, if you haven't seen my other wrap-up, I did play in the main event. I did make the top 8. I did lose to Joe, the winner, in the top 8. It was really sad. But myself, Mike, and Joe had all teamed up for the event, Team Tiny Loops, and we got first, second, top 8. So we're happy with the team effort. Even though I have my debilitating illness of you're either first or you're last, for this particular event, since it was so big, it was like 400 people, I just said, all right, if I make the cut, I'm not last. If I don't make the cut, if I'm one of the amazing 6-2 players who did not make the cut because FFG is crazy and only cut to top 16, then I will consider myself having tied for last. Luckily, I did not. All right, so to wrap up just the Destiny part of Gen Con, boy, I had a great time. I can't imagine a more fun experience than playing in 4 straight days of high-level Destiny play. And this was what was so amazing about these cash events. It was 4 straight days of high-level play. And then, Team Tiny Loops is crazy enough that Mike Gemini, in between rounds of the cash event, we're playing more games to try to get more test games in. It was total madness. But I probably played like 150 games over 4 days, and it was just amazing, and I had a great time. Let's see, what else did I do at Gen Con then if we're doing the wrap-up? I played a game called Crystal Colonies? I don't remember now. It was like a fun game with ogres in it. I played the game with my friend Chris and Dave. We roomed together. By the way, Chris and Dave, thanks for being awesome roommates. They played in Game of Thrones, big-time Game of Thrones players. It was kind of fun to watch them test before the Game of Thrones main event. So that was fun. Just the overall experience of hanging out with my roommates and having fun. I did try to play in the L5R opening day tournament. And to be honest, I was really excited about this. Like, I don't know if I'm going to play L5R. I'm not going to have much time now. I have a new job starting. It's going to be very time consuming. You know, I'll still be able to play Destiny, but will I have time for a secondary game as deep as L5R? Seems doubtful. But still, it's kind of cool to be like, I was at the first event. It was really fun. I decided it started at noon. I was going to play till 4 and kind of see where I was at. If I was dominating, which was unlikely, then I would just play it out. And if I wasn't, I'd have 3 games in the books. I'd drop. I'd go play my 4 o'clock Destiny tournament. No problem. So if you've heard about this event, you know that it was a train wreck. That it was FFG doing what FFG does best, which is pretty decent ideas that are executed very poorly. So the bottom line is we did not get our core sets until 3, maybe 2:45, something like that. At that point, we were given 20 minutes to open up the core set, punch out all the pieces, find the cards we might want for our deck, build a deck, and then if you got any time left, maybe read the rules a little bit for this really deep game. I have no idea what you're doing. So, not surprisingly, it was a train wreck. From what I heard, I actually had to drop midway through the first round because, you know, I had a tournament at 4 at 3:58. I dropped and ran. But no one was finishing rounds. Every round was going to time because no one really knew the rules of the game. I almost beat my opponent, though. I had him right on the verge of victory. And then at 3:58, I stuck my hand out, and he was like, "Whoa, I'm not conceding." I was like, "I know, man. I got to go. Good game, man. Great job." And he was like, "I won? Oh, okay, cool." But so the big problem was that FFG did really cool things. They had a parade where samurais came through with flags, and people cheered and went crazy, and it was great. Unless you don't care about that stuff, and then it was lame. And then they had speeches where they talked about like the whole history of L5R and dead L5R players. And again, if you are an L5R long-time fan, it was probably amazing. If you were a dude who likes playing cards at GenCon, it was another 40 minutes of, are we ever getting our freaking core sets? So the bottom line is, I think it's just a simple problem of you hand out the core sets first, then you do all the cool stuff, and then people kind of know what's going on. And then the worst part, and I feel bad for FFG for this one, is they had this really interesting idea of like everyone picking their clan, and it was like they had a hashtag campaign, #MyClan. And unfortunately, this happened like the day after the Charlottesville problem with the white supremacists, and you know, #MyClan, white supremacy, these don't go together that well. So it was like the whole event was FFG going like, we're going to do it, guys. I know L5R loves cool organized play, and we're going to step up and do it. But we are FFG, so we're going to step up and do it poorly. So that was kind of unfortunate. I actually had a ticket for the Friday event as well, and at that point I was like, this is not going to work out. I gave my ticket to Jason from the Knights of Ren, and he seemed to have a great time. Both of those events went like 12 hours or something absurd. So overall, I'd say at the L5R event was very disappointing, and for me it was hard because that was the start of my con. Like I got in Wednesday night, I was able to track down my badges, everything was going well. I got up Thursday, played a little bit of Destiny till noon, and then just basically sat there bored for 4 hours, which put me in a bad spot for the rest of Thursday Destiny. I just wasn't really with it, and I was, you know, my brain was all fatigued from sitting there listening to speeches and stuff. I felt like I was at a seminar for my job or something. It was really not a great experience. But like I said, the rest of the weekend was great. I really didn't get to see much of the con. I went into the dealer hall twice. Once to hunt down sleeves for the L5R event. Got them. The second time, I followed my friend Chris in, who just needed to go to the FFG booth real quick. And while he waited in line, he was actually most of the way through the line. We had texted, and I just got a demo game in, well, Destiny, while I waited. Instead of looking around the hall, I was like, I'll just play some Destiny. So, you know, that was pretty funny because the guy was like, have you played before? And I was like, played a bit. Yeah, I kind of know what's going on. He's like, okay. And so then I had decided I was going to mill him out. Like I went for the mill strategy. So I got BB-8 right away, and I, was kept close quarters assault, and I was like, I'm just going to mill this dude. It's going to be hilarious. And then unfortunately, my jerky friend Chris was like, we're done. So we left and got lunch. As far as food for me, man, I ate bad. I ate so bad at the con. I just ate the garbage food that was next to the Destiny tables most of the day, which was unfortunate. But overall, I spent almost all of my time over at the cash event tables. That was the place to be for me the whole weekend. Like, even if you weren't in a tournament, like there was no tournament running right now, there were just people playing Destiny. It was so amazing. So again, thanks so much, Arthur Kelly, the what does he call it? The players group. It was just amazing. You put on you did a great job. You really made the con great for me. Without those 2 other days of Destiny, it just wouldn't have been the same. It would have been like me, Joe, Mike, and Nick hanging out, playing Destiny against each other for 2 straight days, and then playing in the main event. It just felt like such a fuller Gen Con experience having these 2 extra days of events. It is 3 for a lot of people, but for me, Joe, and Mike, who all made the top 8, none of us were able to finish in time to go play the $1,000 final. So for me, I consider overall Gen Con was a success. I had a great time. I hung out with friends that I knew going in. I got to meet a bunch of people that I was friends with online. I got to meet a ton of people that I didn't know before, but know me from the Smuggler's Den, and that was amazing. I did what I wanted to do in the events. I made the cut in all 3 of the events that I played in. Now, I would have liked to win the main event, but, I lost to my teammate. I lost to Joe. Joe was really good with Rainbow Nines. Like, if there was one person that I thought, this person might beat me, it's Joe. If I'd played Mike, I'd have whooped him. He knows it. I know it. I'd have whooped him. Joe, just pretty darn good with Rainbow Nines. So, thanks so much for watching. If I ran into you at Gen Con, hey, what's up? Nice to see you again. Feel free to contact me on Discord, wherever, Patreon, and I hope you all have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you all at next year's Gen Con, and I'll see you next time on Tiny Grams Games.